In this R tutorial video, we will learn how to import a dataset into RStudio. So I have an example dataset here called bikedata.csv. Now CSV is the file extension that most easily is imported into R. If you have your data in Excel and it's saved as a .xls extension, just go ahead and go into Excel, save as a CSV. It makes it much easier to import the data into RStudio if it's in that CSV format. So the next step to take is to come up to the environment or workspace window and import the dataset into RStudio. So that's really easy. You just click this import dataset button. It's from a text file, right? A CSV is just another version of a text file. And this window is going to pop up and ask you which file you'd like to import. And it's going to start with the thing that's in your working directory, right? This bikedata.csv. So I'm just going to select it and open. And now you're going to see this box pop up, and it gives you some pieces of information, such as what the data set looks like in its current state, what it will look like as it's imported into RStudio in an object called a Dataframe, which we'll talk about in a second. And then it gives you some options to name your data. This is the object name you're going to use for RStudio, so it's usually recommended to use something short and sweet. Bike data sounds fine to me. This heading option lets you decide if the first row of your dataset contains the column names, the variable names that you want to use. Ours does, so I'm going to keep that selected as yes. And then the rest of these are usually going to not be modified, especially if you're working with a CSV file. So I'm going to go ahead and hit import. And you'll see a couple things happen right away. My workspace or environment is now populated with this data frame called bike data. It tells me my number of observations, number of rows or cases. I have 121 of them. And it also tells me the number of variables or columns that I have in my data set. And then it opened up a spreadsheet view of this data set automatically. See, it says bike data, and then it actually has the cases listed down, and you can scroll through and see the raw data that way. Notice that they put the spreadsheet view of the data set right up here with the tabs of the other script files. So you can close this out just like you can a script file. If you ever want to open it back up and look at it again, you can just click over here in the environment and it'll pop back up for you. So the one thing to keep in mind when you have a data frame in RStudio is the way to call a specific variable. It's a really simple notation, but say we wanted to get the mean distance traveled of these bicyclists. We're going to want to use our mean function like we learned in a previous video. Open parentheses, and then we just want to give it basically a vector of numbers and it'll calculate the mean for us. In order to do that, we're going to use the data frame name, bike data. Remember to watch your capitalization here because R is case sensitive. Then we're going to define which variable we want from the data frame bike data by placing a $sign and then just simply the column name, distance. Now if we were to run this, R would go in and look into bike data and find that distance column and calculate the mean. So we see that there's about a mean of 6 miles that these bicyclists rode.